Now, Southwest Airlines is total chaos. They don't have any assigned seats. So everybody pours out. You've flown Southwest recently? Jesse and Kelly DeForest, when we went to New Orleans a couple of weeks ago, they flew Southwest, no assigned seats. Helter skelter. It's like Charles Manson took over the airlines.
Exactly.
Helter skelter, my friend.
Exactly.
Imagine that. It's like musical chairs. All of a sudden, people are like diving for seats. As if you went to a concert and they just opened the gates or a ball. Imagine if you went to a ball game. And it happens at Saratoga, I guess, which is opening up later on this week. Saratoga Race Course, where the people are piled up by the gate. And as soon as they open the gate, they all make a mad dash to try and claim one of the tables outside. I mean, people running. People have guys stashed in there. They pay people to wait online and claim a table for them.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show, South Florida Live. Jeff DeForest, along with one Mike Lubitz, as we head to midweek, which, I thought the week flew by that I was on vacation there and cruising around Atlantic City, various other places there. You had a July 4th celebration just a week ago Monday, but this one is just evaporating, Mike Lubitz. Incredible how quickly this is going by. And it's not like I have been overwhelmingly busy or anything. I mean, doing the shows and doing my usual thing, the walk of life, and just trying to sustain, an ability to breathe and have a pulse, is enough work. But, just flying by. So we're here already on Wednesday. That means later on today we go old school with Tony Segreto. I wasn't here last week when Tony was on the show. Lubie doing a fine job in my absence, drawing rave reviews from around the country. In fact, I understand there were several inquiries from various television network executives asking about Lubie's availability. I can assure you I have him under one of the most onerous, one-sided contracts that you could ever see in existence. He forgot to read the fine print when he signed up. It was only like a one-page contract, all fine print.
Exactly.
Way, they ever hand you one of those things? It looks like this, right? Just all fine print. There's no actual status, to the contract. It doesn't say what you're getting paid. Just, has various methods that if you can't interpret them correctly, and nobody could, not even Dershowitz. I mean, you could get Barry Scheck on this thing, and unless he was lifting DNA, he wouldn't be able to determine that essentially you were screwed for life.
Exactly.
That if you quit this job, you can't work again. If you get fired from the job, you can't work again. And even while you have the job, there's a good likelihood that they will let you go tomorrow with no pay and no ability to resurrect your career on any level unless you decide to go into another profession.
I love that. That is my favorite. They can fire you and you still can't work. It's like, right. They fired me.
Exactly, yeah.
How was it my
now,
fault?
Fortunately, we had no contractual. Well, I guess it works both ways. I mean, nobody knew what our deal was at the previous radio station we were at. 12 years I worked without a contract.
No.
And, I was happy about it, right? I mean, it gave you the opportunity to do whatever the hell you wanted. Yep. And, it wasn't a situation where all of a sudden they decide they want to let you go. I sat out 6 months once in a contractual dispute because the place that hired me just didn't want to get into any kind of litigation with the previous place that I was working. And even though it seemed to me a very unenforceable clause in the contract, the guy paid me for 6 months to do nothing, which unfortunately at the time I was in a very volatile relationship with one of my 3 wives. And, I thought, wow, this should be the time of my life. And all we're doing is fighting every day. So what's the point? Same old shit. Exactly. Anyway, a lot to fight about here today. I have the list here, Lubie. That's what I held up here. This is the list of the British Open golf pool. Some tough decisions here, and I'm going to make them with you. Jim Sarney was asking if there was a golf pool for the British Open. Of course there is.
Yes.
And it's a great pool, as I've mentioned many times. I wish I can invite more of you guys to play. I guess I could, but I don't feel like putting up the money because I don't have any way of collecting it in advance since the entries are due today. All right, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the same 7 columns. How many people are in the British Open field? Is it an expanded field? Is it larger than most, or is it smaller because it's a major?
They are allowing to live for the British.
Oh, Open. I know that. Yeah,
you see different people than you did see in the U.S. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe there's more people in that regard.
The people were in the U.S. Open. They all played in the U.S. Open. They were allowed to play.
The Masters won't let them play, right? The Masters and then the PGA at the end won't let them play. or didn't play.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how that all plays out. I mean, it's still up for debate. Tiger, by the way, Tiger, it does not subscribe to the policy anymore that neutrality is best when it comes to your public image and ability to rake in all kinds of marketing dollars from various companies. He's not pulling a Michael Jordan. He pulled no punches yesterday when they asked him about the Live Tour and his position. And Tiger's stance was, this is really messing with the entire principle that the game was built upon, which is competition. That there's no incentive. Who's going to go out and practice when you already got $200 million guaranteed? And even if you finish last in a 54-hole event, you're still going to cop $120,000, which for many people would be a very nice payday on the PGA Tour. You'd have to be somewhere between 10 and 15, no? Or even a little bit higher to cop $120,000, and that's in a 150-man field. They have far less players out there on the Live Tour. Everybody hates Greg Norman now. It's incredible. I don't know that people like Greg Norman to begin with. I always thought he was a likable guy, didn't you, Greg Norman?
Yeah, I felt bad for him because he seemed to give it away a few times, but I thought he was liked. It's weird to see that for years people hated him. I'm like, I thought he was like a lovable. He was the Shark. Like, he had a cool nickname.
Seemed okay, yeah. I mean, I liked his game, the swagger, the hats. I mean, he seemed to have a personality that went far beyond the normal vapid personality of most professional golfers who looked like they were all cloned from the very same mold, and most of which had limited, if any, personality whatsoever.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, they all look the same, and you wouldn't even be inclined to ask them. Yes, you're expecting every guy to seem and sound exactly the same. So Norman was a little bit different. He did have some swagger to him, did he not?
Yes,
we got coned a couple of times. I mean, sometimes of his own volition, sometimes not. That shot out of the sand by Bob Twain, what was that? Was that a U.S. Open or a PGA? When Twain, I think on 17, holed out from the sand, it looked impossible. Norman had the thing in the bag. Then he had, a big choke job meltdown at one of the majors. It might have been the Masters, where he was way up going into the final round. And, he even was leading late as an older golfer before had to be one of his last years playing competitively in the British Open. Remember that when Chris Everett was following him around the course there, and he could have carried last. Chris, he's freezing, she's shivering, and Norman's like, "Hey, come on, Chris, walk a little faster." And they broke up shortly after that, and for good reason. You could see sometimes you can tell when the end is near, when the flowers are in the punch in a relationship. All right, so I'm looking at these lists here, Lubie. I have to pick one guy from each of the 7 lists. So the first one, I think you can scratch the first couple of guys. Stuart Sink, he's not winning the thing. You don't have to pick the winner necessarily. You want 7 guys aggregate score that are going to come out the lowest. So number one is you have to find guys that are going to make the cut. That's the first key, because if one of your players misses the cut, not only does he have a lousy score after 2 rounds, but now you're getting +3 for rounds 3 and 4 for that particular player. That's +6. That's hard to overcome.
Yep.
Very hard to overcome.
Yep.
Stuart Sink, a little too old. Ernie Els, he's already on the senior tour. Fitzpatrick, obviously, is a contender after his fine. Well, he won the U.S. Open, didn't he, Fitzpatrick?
Yes, he won the last major.
All right. Does he go back-to-back? You would have to think unlikely, but obviously is primed probably to have a good showing. I don't know who Harding is. So who is that? The former president? Harding. Hughes, not familiar with. Zach Johnson is a former British Open winner, but he is not anywhere near the kind of form that it would take to convince me to use him off this list. Migliozzi, is that some Italian stud? No idea. Kevin Na, defected to the Live Tour, so I can't root for him.
Yeah.
Scotty Scheffler. All right, so it comes down to Scotty Scheffler versus Fitzpatrick, I think, among the big-name guys here that you would recognize. So who would you take? Scheffler, more consistent?
He's been knocking on the door, and at some point, he's going to break through.
Oh, wait, wow. Justin Thomas is also on this list.
Shit.
Wow. Okay, that makes it a little bit more complicated.
This would be tough.
Scheffler, Thomas, or Fitzpatrick? Who are you taking there?
You're going to go Thomas, and that's when Scheffler – that's the problem is, I think if you go anyone but Scheffler, you're getting cute, and that fucked you last time.
Yeah. Thomas or Scheffler? Thomas is playing some good golf. I'm going to go Scheffler on your recommendation.
Oh, that's not
smart.
That
cost me if Thomas beats Scheffler by 10 strokes.
That's not smart.
Then you owe me. I don't know if this is boring to a lot of people. It's kind of interesting to me. All All right, first few names on the list in the second column. I could live without Burns, Harris English, Harrington, Henley, Herbert, McIntyre. Matsuyama is always interesting in these spots. Munoz, Morikawa, Straka, a big Austrian stud, Tringale or Zalatoris. So I think it comes down to Morikawa or Zalatoris. Morikawa, the defending champion. And he's playing well. He's in good form. He's been in top tens, I think, the last couple of majors. And Zalatoris has been knocking on the door, top five. He's flirting with winning one. Does he fall apart in this one? So where do you go there? I'm going to boil it down to Morikawa and Zalatoris on this list. What do you say, Lubie? Whatever you say, I should probably go the opposite way.
I know. I was going to say I lean Morikawa, so you should probably go the other way. Like I feel
I'm a big Morikawa fan. I really like this guy's game.
Plays well in these moments too. Like he doesn't seem to get phased at all. Like
can't throw out the defending champion. All right, so there's mistake number 2. We've taken Scheffler over Justin Thomas, Morikawa, and any of these other guys could pop up and ruin the entire equation here. All right, so that was two very difficult. You see how tough this is. Two very difficult choices, and any of these other schmanks could pop in there and have the top score among the guys that are on this list, which is what you're trying to scope out who has the best chance to have a low score on the particular column that you're on. All right, another tough one here. Cantlay, Finau, Hovland, Im, who I've played before, but he never does well when I pick him. Kistner, Leishman. Lowry, we've used Shane Lowry. Neiman, Joaquin Neiman, very good. Cameron Smith, does he come back? I used him in the U.S. Open. He was a brick.
Yep.
Harold Varner III, very, very wow. This list is loaded here.
This list is easier. There's a bunch of guys that have been competitive.
All right, I got to go with my man Shane Lowry.
Go for it. Why not?
Yeah, may as well stick with this guy. He's usually very,
he's in it.
Very steady in these spots. Okay, so he might not be the best. Victor Hovland kind of fell off. I would have used him a couple of months ago. I was all over Victor Hovland to win some of these tournaments. He hasn't really shown that well. Tony Finau was hot for a while, but I used him in the U.S. Open. He, was an absolute brick. Patrick Cantlay, you never know. I mean, could be in there. But I'm going to go Shane Lowry. Joaquin Neiman was a guy that actually John Kangemi turned us on to when he picked him one time. And I thought, who's this guy? And he played very well. This Cameron Smith, obviously, is going to be tough in there. But I'm going to go with Shane Lowry. I'm going to go with the old veteran, the European player, and figure that he's going to know his way around St. Andrews. All right. You want to pick this up again later? Because I'm already like, yeah, I mean, I'm already thinking that people out there are saying, well, what the hell, Defo? Do we really need to help you make your selections? Not good. I mean, it's amazing, too, how much conversation is centered more around this LIV Tour and how the people on the PGA Tour that stuck it out there, McIlroy, Tiger Woods, some big names, all denouncing the LIV Tour players.
Yep.
The whole Saudi money thing, my man Phil Mushnick had a column about how despicable this was, that these guys sold their souls to the devil for the Saudi money. And he had outlined, which I guess it's pretty easy to, go back and track if you're a news person, some of the just absolute outright atrocities that have taken place at the hands of the Saudis. And in particular, the guy that's running the show right now, who Joe Biden is going to suck up to because they want to cut off the oil supply. I guess they need help with the Saudis in their efforts to contain whatever dastardly thing was going to be coming out of Iran.
Well, that's the thing. Iran supposedly now is going to help Russia when the world has been against Russia. So I guess the enemy of your enemy is your friend, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that meant, but
Well,
what is it?
Must be an enemy of Iran, so it's the enemy.
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Well, but there's also the saying the enemy of your enemy is your, like.
Oh, okay. You have an alliance.
You can hate each other, but fight them and then go back hitting each other. I mean, I don't know.
You weren't happy with the program director. I wasn't happy with the program director. Therefore, the program director was your friend. Unbelievable. I don't know. I mean, there's a logic to it. I understand, and it has to do with Iran. So that's the reason to even recognize the Saudis. The other thing is they have a lot of money, and for some reason, that's always going to be a big attraction, which it was for these golfers. Tiger's complaint was that they're going to be eliminated from all major competition. There's never going to be really any test. 54-hole tournaments are a joke by comparison to the 72. You have to play 4 big rounds, to win a PGA tournament. He was also saying that they kind of turned their back on the place that gave them their start and their platform to begin with. Already accomplished phenomenal riches, which, for many people would have been more than enough to sustain loyalty. But the lure of easy money is always going to be, something extremely tempting for most people. And, I give Tiger credit. They offered him like $1 billion at 46. He's not making another $1 billion playing golf. That's for sure.
No.
He may be able to sustain. He's always going to be Tiger Woods. I would imagine as an endorser, his Q rating is always going to be extremely high. It's, not like Matthew Stafford, right, where there's a commercial for some phone company, I believe it is, that uses Matthew Stafford, but they never identify Matthew Stafford. I'm thinking, it took me a second to realize, oh, wow, yeah, that's Matthew Stafford, right? Matthew Stafford, not exactly the most recognizable face without a helmet on and a uniform in professional football, is he? I mean, did you know that was Matthew Stafford in that commercial?
Well, I've known him since he was recruited out of high school, so I know Stafford. And the whole commercial is poking fun at his situation. So if you didn't know Stafford, like, eventually by the second or third time you see that commercial, you'd pick it up.
All right. Because, I thought it was kind of weird, right? I would think that, if I, as a guy that's immersed in sports and has done this my entire life and followed it since my earliest recollections as a human being, if it took me a second, now it takes me a second to recognize like George Clooney now when he's in a movie. Who's that? The handsome guy with the gray hair.
The handsome guy.
So that's memory lapse. But this is just strictly, recognition quotient.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that Matthew Stafford, without somebody superimposing on the screen with a graphic, Matthew Stafford, Super Bowl winning quarterback. I don't know. Does the average schmenk out there know who the hell he is?
My dad's
thinking, who is this guy?
Fan. There's no way my dad knew that was Stafford. Like, I had to tell my dad. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah, that's Stafford.
Yep.
So Tiger doesn't have that problem. I mean, as a marketing entity, look, Tiger Woods, the minute you see him anywhere around the world, he's going to be immediately recognized. So I don't know that not playing golf, if he eventually retires, I don't know that Tiger's going to go out there and give it a shot on the championship tour, the Champions Tour. Do you really see him wanting to knock off Bernhard Langer from his perch as a number one guy on the senior tour, as it used to be known? I don't think so. You really want him out there? Is Chichi Rodriguez, I want to say, still alive? Cheech. Did he check out the Cheecher? Yeah, I'm going to say very much alive. Chichi Rodriguez. But, does Tiger Woods want to go out there and prove himself by beating a 90-year-old Chichi Rodriguez? When he does that Zorro thing with the punter?
And he's 86. He is alive.
86, not bad, yeah. Lee Trevino, by the way, drew rave reviews for, once again, being the light of the show there, as they had, like, this Champions Round. They did not include Greg Norman. He was uninvited to Scotland there and the course, St. Andrews course. And they had like a lot of the champions out there teeing off. And Norman obviously would still be in good enough shape probably to actually hit the ball pretty well. Uninvited, right? He is persona non grata, my friend. Won't be seeing him around here no more. They really despise this guy. Anyway, Tiger lit into him, and it was a strong condemnation of the LIV Tour, as we've seen by anybody of anything near that level of prominence, which it's hard to be any higher in the golf world than Tiger Woods when it comes to attracting attention. And, very calmly, and rationally, he just outlined his reasons for thinking that this is the biggest sack of shit that he's ever seen. Now, his records and legacy, obviously, are in play here, and he would like to. It's kind of like the Major League Baseball situation with the steroid era, where if you were not a steroid user and you saw your record shattered like Hank Aaron did, you would think there would be a natural amount of resentment towards the people that just tore that whole thing apart. The guy worked his whole life, had the all-time home run record. It was never going to be eclipsed in all likelihood. And, here goes Barry Bonds, and he hits like 300 homers in his last two seasons, and that was it. The record was obliterated, and I don't even know what it is. What was Bonds' final total? Does anybody know?
Was it 753? Didn't he hit 7? 50 something.
I don't know, right? I mean, the Bambino we knew was 714. Aaron
that
ended up
was-
at like
that was
750
Aaron.
something.
So it was like 800. I'll look it up. I mean, I'm gonna look it up. But
I don't think he had 800. It was like something in the 750s, wasn't it? Barry Bonds. I mean,
62. So actually, it was actually pretty close to. It says 762. Barry Bonds.
the
home
Clips
run.
went what 755 was that the record of Hank Aaron? 755. Bonds only beat it by 7 home runs. Is that right? Because he didn't play much after.
75. Yep. And that's what it is.
That
He
was it?
broke it. And remember, he was done. Like
Yeah.
teams
was,
blackballed. Teams blackballed him. Once he became a guy that could hit home runs and not do as much else, they like wouldn't sign him.
Well, they wouldn't even pitch to him. What are you talking about? I mean, he hit all those home runs without seeing a single strike for 3 seasons. It was amazing, right? It was like he would take an oar and hit the ball that was 5 feet outside. And as soon as he got any wood on it whatsoever, it didn't matter if the bat splintered. There it goes. Look at that. 722 feet. Incredible. So, it took those records and made them and rendered them meaningless. I don't know that the Live Tour is going to do that because without any kind of coverage, I don't know. Are you inclined to sit down on a couch on a Sunday like you would with even like the John Deere Classic? And, you see a little bit of competition going on, and it's amazing to me. I mean, I guess Frank Chirkinian was a director that kind of perfected golf coverage, but golf on TV, as much as you would think like hockey sucks on TV, you would think golf on TV would be impossible to follow, but it actually is a pretty good watch, is it not?
That's better.
I mean, you see the drama spelled out. They're able to go back and backtrack on shots that they try to pretend are live. And even if they aren't, you see the whole storyline unfold, and you're able to actually follow the ball and track its flight. It's pretty amazing. It really is. Although they never really did perfect that thing. Remember when they tried to illustrate hockey on Fox by having the flaming puck?
The laser sucked.
Yeah.
So annoying.
And I don't know that it works in golf when they illustrate the shots, because you'll see a thing and it looks like it's bending into the woods, and then it's right there dead center in the middle of the green when they have the little red line or yellow stripe following the flight of the golf ball. I don't know that ever really, and you're looking going, oh, good. If it's a guy you're rooting against, you're going, oh, good. He just hit that thing into the lake. And then you're watching, and it's, oh, look at that. Pretty nice shot there. Spinning right back to the cup. It's going to be within 3 feet. Looks like a certain eagle. And you thought, well, what happened to the yellow stripe, man? That had that thing going into the crowd. But no, it's a pretty good watch on TV. But if nobody's watching the Live Tour, I mean, what difference does it make who wins these tournaments? You see the headlines. I don't know. I haven't seen 1 second of Live Golf except for the fractured highlights, which it seems like networks also protecting their own interests to have little desire to go ahead. I mean, is ESPN going to overwhelmingly feature what happens on the Live Tour? You're not seeing that in the top 10 plays of the week, are you?
No.
Yeah, watch this. Here's DeChambeau as he shatters the glass in a building, and the ball bounces back, hits the green 500 feet from where he teed off. I guess DeChambeau and some of these guys are in this thing. I don't know. Is DeChambeau in this tournament?
I
Not
haven't
sure.
heard it should be. I know the Live guy.
Oh, yeah, he's in it. He's definitely in it. DeChambeau's in the tournament.
Johnson, you would think's going to be in it. I mean,
can he outdrive? I mean, this is a short course. The course that they're playing the British Open on, St. Andrews, a very short course by the standards. And what's missing in the British Open, even though the bunkers now really look like they haven't been fixed since they, had dropped bombs in World War II.
42.
I don't know if that applies to Scotland. It does to England, right? Where you could see, and they would give you the history. Peter Alice would be on there going, "Oh, look at that! That's where the Germans just unmercifully were bombing our beautiful city." And the actual bomb is still in there, and you need a rope ladder to climb out of the bunkers. No one could hit out of these bunkers, especially and in the fairway yet. I mean, you still have like another 220 to go to the green.
Exactly.
And you're looking straight up to get out of the bunker. Impossible. And then they have a little rope ladder they drop down so the golfer can climb out. The caddy won't even go in there. Nothing. He's not giving any advice. I don't know. Are caddies allowed to go in the sand trap? You don't see him going into the sand trap.
No.
Maybe with the rake after, to clean things up. They don't even bother with that because nobody can get out of these traps. How those guys hit out of those sand traps by the green, it's pretty incredible. It really is. But yeah, you don't see a lot of trees, like zero trees on these British Open courses.
It's just
I
dark.
think that's a major advantage, is it not? Now, it's true that if you hit your ball, even if you hit your ball square and perfectly on line, it could end up at some thatch somewhere.
Yeah.
Like weird stuff, right? Like when you go to the beach and they have the sand dunes and it's got, like various, forms of vegetation that you can't identify, but it's all very high. It looks like a wheat field.
Yep.
And I don't know how you hit out of that. I mean, that's another, prohibitive factor. But trees are not a factor. So, you can, airmail a lot of different things without having to worry about, having your shot minute bowled, getting blocked right there at the start. So does that favor a big hitter like DeChambeau? Can he navigate his way around this course, without having to worry about too many obstacles and just figure, if I'm even close to being online, I'm going to drive like most of these greens. Because the ball also will roll forever if you're in the fairway, if you can hit it straight. So I don't know. Do we discount him? Because there seems to be a lot of sentiment that nobody wants to see one of these live players win any of these tournaments. Are there guys that are rooting for the live guys under the, capitalist instinct that, hey, you know what, screw the PGA Tour and their sanctimony and all of their rules and, all of the stuff that they say they're doing, which, I would imagine Monahan, what would you think his salary is? You think he's just making like Sepp Blatter type of money running the PGA Tour? Now they're a 501c because they donate the proceeds to charity. Yet, obviously, that's minus operating costs, Lubie, which is always the exception, right? Remember when these basketball players would hold these big festivals? I don't think Zoe was one of these guys. I think Zoe actually, did contribute all of the money that he generated from
The
Zoe's
Summer
Summer Groove.
Groove, no, that was purely charitable. I mean, that was a big deal. And they were like,
Okay, but the part that isn't charitable is where he tells Magic, "Hey, here's $100,000. Show up at my thing." I don't know that Zoe was doing that specifically, but that was not uncommon, and it's all in a ruse of I mean, in some places, some cases, you were disguising the fact that you were running a charitable event, and it was just a way to throw a big free party, and everybody copped a lot of capital because they were doling that out on expense money, right? I mean, if they're flying you in by private jet to play in a golf tournament, is that not a bit excessive? If you were thinking that I'm trying to raise as many dollars as I can for poor, sick children, Lubie, what do you think? Not that I've ever thought about doing anything like that.
That didn't
The
seem like
DeForest Foundation. I hope you guys will contribute generously.
Yeah, but you would be honest and say it's for degenerates, lost degenerates. That would be the thing. You hope.
Yes, right. I mean, anybody that came to gamble with us, would have to naturally be guaranteed that they get their money back, I would think. All right. So it can be a bit of a scam, right? Where the PGA Tour is donating all this money to charity and they're operating as a 501c, I believe, a charitable organization. Yet I don't think the executives are working for free. They're not donating their time. So,
No.
there's obviously a lot of hypocrisy all the way around the board. And as Norman pointed out, I mean, the one valid point that I've seen that I think is hard to argue with is when he pointed a finger right at Monahan, the president of the PGA or the commissioner of the PGA, and said, hey, look, well, why don't you go and tell all your sponsors that do business with Saudi Arabia to stop doing business with Saudi Arabia, and then you can talk to me about Saudi Arabian dirty and blood money. Which I didn't hear Monahan respond to that one.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Having it.
That's true. Well, look, it's like LeBron. LeBron now came out and talking about the Brittany Griner thing, and it's like, yeah, I was never shut up and dribble guy, but my problem is then you got to talk about everything. If you're gonna, he said nothing about China and the way the Chinese treat their people is like their slaves. Like,
he shut that Morley guy right up, didn't he, Maury?
If you're not going to say anything about China, then to me, I've lost respect in whatever you say. Like,
making a lot of sneaker money, yeah. He probably doesn't need the sneaker money. That's the thing. I guess too. That's part of the argument is that these guys didn't need to do this.
No.
And are they embracing these concepts of just human atrocities that are being perpetuated and proliferated by the people that are in elite power in Saudi Arabia? I mean, the atrocities are many, including the possible and what seems to be the conclusion that these guys funded, the terrorist efforts that resulted in 9/11, and many of the people that participated in this 9/11 attack were, 15 of the 19 guys were Saudi Arabian.
Yes.
I mean, does that, mean that this was some rogue outfit? It's possible, but in all likelihood, this was done with the stamp of approval of the Saudi government, and you're taking their money. Yeah. Anyway, it's again the hot topic of conversation going into the British Open, when all we want to do is figure out, do we use DeChambeau in this list? I think Weistey's finished. I wouldn't use Tiger Woods. Bezuidenhout, I've used him in the past. That guy Bezuidenhout. Forget about him. Paul Casey, the old veteran there, he's always hanging around in these kind of things. I hate Sergio, so I couldn't use him. Phil, I think, is a shot fighter. Oh, the big Swede's on this list. You know what? DeChambeau stands out on this list, even though he hasn't played well in quite some time.
I think Stenson and Oosthuizen are the two you looked at.
Weistey, I mean, he's always in there with a shot, but I think he's past,
I know, but
the point where he's going to be a contender. And Heinrich Stenson, I wouldn't touch with your money. The big Swede. I can't go back to the big Swede after all of the failures I've had with this clown. He was once very, very steady. I mean, if you were just looking for a guy that figured, to make the cut and, be somewhere, in the top 20, Stenson might have been that guy at one point in time, because he was pretty steady and doing it on a regular basis. All right, there's been some ugliness too. I mean, of late. It's the myth of the Sisyphus, is it not? Every time they threaten to get to 500, the Miami Marlins fall back, and then they fall all the way back. Now losing 2 in a row in listless fashion to the Pittsburgh Pirates. I couldn't even watch last night. I couldn't watch, Lubie. Me, I don't get like you. Just watching, flicking around channels there. I log into a baseball game, and I'm thinking, all right, let's see what this team's all about. I haven't really paid that close of attention, throughout the season, even though I've caught, plenty of Marlins baseball action. But, and you know what? I make an exception here. I know we don't solicit telephone calls, but I almost need, I felt this morning, that I needed to hear an Eric, the Jet fan, but also a giant Marlin fan. I might need to hear an Eric rant. What do you think? Remember when he used to call? He'd be on hold before the show even started, and we just, said, hey, let this guy air his beef.
Yeah.
And he would go on for about a half an hour, but it was, an impassioned plea for Don Mattingly to wake up. Now, I don't blame Mattingly. I love Mattingly. That's one. What's that?
We love Mattingly, but he has been weird with his pitchers. I mean, Eric, that was really his big gripe, was how Mattingly handled his pitchers.
And then what level of talent? Now, they got Garrett Cooper on the All-Star team, and he came in as a sub for an injured player, which he's having a real nice season. He's hitting like 290. I don't know what kind of power numbers he's putting up. I don't think they're anything enormous. But he's always been a very steady, serious-minded ball player. Watching a team, though, and then if you look at the box score, and it's hard to judge anymore, because my Bill James instincts are far away from what's going on in reality in Major League Baseball today. And you know me with my stupid attention to batting average. What's a good batting average now? 260? Yeah, what is a good batting average in Major League Baseball? If you went 1 for 4, you felt like a failure in the game, didn't you?
Yes.
With 2 strikeouts? I mean, if you struck out twice, I got like 1 base hit,
you were bitter.
And 4 at-bats, I mean, you would go home crying, saying, man, I don't want to play baseball anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's like a badge of honor. Well, look at this. He's hitting a solid 250. 250. Lindor, 239 there. They want to put him on the All-Star team, 239. He's having a bounce-back season, too. This is a bounce-back season for a guy making $30-something million a year. 239. I would think that this was an embarrassment, that you'd be in a cage every day until you got your average up, somewhere in the 270 range, and thought, you know what, if I close with a rush in August and September, I might be able to hit somewhere around 289, which would still be, I would think, a somewhat lame average. But by today's standards, it's enormous. It's like Teddy Ballgame hitting 400. It really is. I mean, it's incredible. How is it that I know pitchers throw the ball like 800 miles an hour, and they have a fresh arm in there every inning from the fifth inning on, which makes it very, very difficult. And, the other side of that, I guess, is each of these relievers can't be on his game every day. So if they're going to use 5 different guys, that's why the cookie cutter managing thing seems to be so ridiculous because, you have a guy that just struck out the sides on 9 pitches. Why lift him? To bring in the guy that you automatically put in the 7th inning who got racked up yesterday, and you're going to bring him in today because that's your formula.
Yep.
I don't know. Casey Stengel's got to be rolling over in his grave, man. You think Earl Weaver would put up with that?
Nah.
No way. Red Schoendienst probably even, crying somewhere in behind the pearly gates. But that's the way the game is played today. Now, does that make it more prohibitive for a hitter to have a good batting average? That he's always facing a guy that's throwing the ball 98 miles an hour, and that same guy, he doesn't even see him twice. You got a different guy in there. But the other side of that is you're also going to catch guys that aren't on their best game because they're not necessarily going to be able to do it every day.
Yep.
And so, when Tony La Russa is making another pitching change and bringing in a guy in the middle of the 6th inning who always comes in the middle of the 6th inning, then, there's a chance that he doesn't have it, Tuesday after he just worked in the game Monday and, got knocked around a little bit on Sunday as well. But they stick to their formulas, and that's it. But the Marlin batting averages, and they don't put up big power numbers, that's for sure. And they're fairly anemic. Outside of Cooper hitting 290, I don't know. They got like a couple of guys maybe flirting with the 270s. And that's about it, man. I mean, a lot of guys are really, really down there. So if you can't generate offense, how the hell are you going to play 500 baseball? These last 2 games against the Pirates have been just hard to watch from an offensive standpoint. So once again,
they're right there. Like, it's just dumb. Like, they're actually within like 4 or 5 games of the wild card. Yeah. They're right in that area where they could make a move and really push for it. The NL East is outside of the Braves and Mets has been underwhelming. Like the NL overall, the Padres aren't lighting it up with Tatis Jr. being hurt. Like the Central hasn't been good. Like there's a lot of room for the Marlins to actually, with their rotation, if you ever get a Cabrera and a Sanchez to be freaking healthy, like.
I forgot about Sixto Sanchez. I mean, you notice this? You never heard this guy's name mentioned, right?
I know. But
if Fernando Valenzuela, had come up and flirted with being Fernando as he did during the year of Fernando Mania, which I had the great pleasure of following, very, very closely when I was living in Los Angeles, and it was just phenomenal. We had a little bit of a taste of that with Dontrell Willis and the Dontrell train.
Yep.
That wasn't quite Fernando Mania, but it was as close as I think we're ever going to get down here to having something like that, and it was always great. And I guess Matt Harvey had that going for a while in New York, where all anybody talked about was wow, what is it, Wednesday? Geez, Harvey doesn't start again until Saturday, and you couldn't wait till the next time the guy took them out. And I thought Sixto might bring that, right? I mean, that's the way he was kind of presented to us by Mike Hill, who used to come on the show. And other people, and even Mattingly, you could tell was kind of, very, calmly saying, "Wow, I mean, when we get this kid rolling, it's going to be great." And he's disappeared. Where is he? What did he have? Tommy John on both arms? Or what the hell?
He's still supposed to come back sometime this year. And Edward
he is
banged up, and he's supposed to be involved later this year. So that's the thing is, to me, with a rotation like that, and Mayer was lighting it up, so maybe we see him later. Like, make a move here or there, you're in it. The problem is you can't lose to the Pirates like that, like 2 games in a row. You just can't do that.
At home, yeah. Especially, you just took this game against the Mets behind Alcantara. It kind of got you back on track after you blew that game on Saturday night. Very hard team to really get excited about. And I keep noticing this, and people don't even talk about this anymore. Marlins attendance, my God, Lubie. I mean, it's sad when they pan the stadium.
Oh, good.
This whole thing about building a ballpark was going to automatically, I mean, it's not a panacea for success necessarily. And you would have to say that South Florida is as indifferent a baseball town. Well, we're indifferent to a lot of things here, except heat. But there's very little passion for the game here. I know we have a lot of baseball fans. I'm a big baseball fan. I'm not as much of a fan as I used to be. I'll watch baseball. I like betting on baseball, actually, when I was in Atlantic City. Kind of made the games a little bit more fun. Although there was a play by the Phillies in center field that cost me my 3-team parlay that one night. Oh, my God, disgusting. I, I lose 3-2. Center fielder's like whirling around like a dreidel, man, trying to follow a fly ball that was over his head, but very catchable. It goes for a 2-run double, and I'm out of it. And they never raised a gallop after that. Very dull watching those guys go down in kind of hapless fashion, too. Late to Pirate relievers, please. What are we talking about here? Kent DeCulvey? I don't think so. Striking out in key spots. I just, it's some ugliness. I feel bad for Don Mattingly. I wish you'd had a. I don't think they're going to make it to 500 this year. Jim Sarney was pointing out, and also Sarney had a topic for us that we should address when we come back. He wanted us to know if we were going to talk about NHL free agency. NHL will be free agency. What do you think?
I love you, Sarney. No.
No?
Like, do you know anyone?
Jimmy, I mean,
retired.
Who knows anything about it? I know Malkin signed back with the Penguins.
Malkin was supposed to be a free agent.
Market. Yeah.
So you know more than me. My other tidbit was Duncan Keith retired, and Malkin's finally going to test free agency. So there you go. I'm already behind.
Who is a free agent in the NHL?
I don't know.
Does anybody know, man? Is there a KD out there or something?
No one cares.
Gretzky coming back as a free agent? I wouldn't know what to tell you, Jim. I really wouldn't. We don't pretend here that we know stuff that we don't.
No.
We don't know anything about this. Nothing. We know nothing about soccer. We know nothing about NHL free agency, even though I really did enjoy. I mean, I love the Stanley Cup playoffs, and you could tell, Lubie, that I was kind of immersed in them. I stopped. I didn't stop following them when the Panthers were out, obviously, and I thought the finals round, the Stanley Cup championship round with the Avalanche and the Lightning was very compelling. It was extremely interesting to me because of the fact that the Lightning were the two-time defending champions, and they, like Djokovic, are just tough outs, man. I mean, there's certain players and teams that you can never discount no matter what. And there are certain teams that you can automatically write off. So I don't know. When are the Met fans going to throw in the towel, Lubie? What do you think, Met fans? They're playing the Braves right now, head to head. The Braves, it's not like they crept back into the race. They got off to a slow start. They got Acuna back. They're playing some real good baseball right now.
The Mets fans right now is when the Mets fans freak out. Where's DeGrom? Like, when is DeGrom coming back?
Soon, supposedly. He had another.
Scherzer. I guess Scherzer is back. So
Scherzer's back, and he pitched great. I mean, he went out there and threw 7 shutout innings his first time back, and looked great. Kept the Mets in a big ball game, and DeGrom has been looking very, very good. I think he's either making either today or he just made a rehab start in AAA. That's going to be his next rehab start.
Okay,
and then hopefully, if that goes well, he's back in the majors. He'll be in the rotation probably right after the All-Star.
Well, then look, if you're the Mets, the problem is the Mets are like the local losers, so they've gotten used to collapsing, but you didn't really collapse. Like, you should never have gone out to that start. The Braves struggled probably with, you lose Freeman, so they had some World Series champion hangover, so the Braves started slow, and you got out to a great start, but you shouldn't have. Like, you didn't have 2 of the top 5 pitchers in baseball. The fact that you actually still have a lead, most teams, that's how they would think. Okay, cool. We somehow weathered this freaking storm, and the Braves are playing great, but we still have a game and a half lead, and we already have Scherzer back. You'll get DeGrom back probably after the All-Star break. You would think that should be enough to keep you right there to win the division, or at least have a wild card spot, which is really all you need. But again, you're a Met fan, and you've lost every year. So.
Yeah, I mean, going all the way back to 1962.
You're waiting for it.
Holy Hobie Landreth. That's all I can think. I enjoyed being a Met fan when they were lovable losers. 62 and 63 were 2 of my favorite years of following a baseball team. I mean, they were just laughable buffoons, old guys that needed walkers to come to the plate. I mean, how old was Duke Snyder when he was starting for the 60s. Mets in 1962 on opening day? The Duke. He broke in with Rogers Hornsby, for God's sake.
He did.
Richie Ashburn had a pretty good year. I think he hit 301 that year, the former Philadelphia Philly great, was with the expansion New York Mets. Yeah, and they weren't good for a long, long time, but, I mean, it was fun going out to the ballpark because you could see the promise, which was nice. And, of course, teams stayed more steadily intact in terms of their personnel, so it wasn't like Tom Seaver was going to have a couple of good years and then be a free agent and get out of there. There was no free agency. Jerry Koosman was a hell of a lot of fun to watch. The great Jerry Koosman, a left-hander. I don't know if you remember him.
I know of him. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hell of a 1-2 punch, man. Seaver and Kuzman. And it eventually blossomed into what turned out to be the Miracle Mets, who, I mean, how much of a miracle was it? Didn't the Mets win like 100 and something games that year in 1969 when they won the championship? It wasn't like they were like, coming out of nowhere, was it?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. You tell me. I don't remember the lead.
One of those years that they won the title, though, they won over 100 games, so they were very much the real deal.
I feel like 86
Anyway.
is supposed to be good. Like 69, they were
86, yeah. 69, that kind of, it really did. It was like the Jets. It sort of came out of nowhere, my friend. The old Damon Fowler song. Came out of nowhere. All right, we're never coming out of nowhere when we think about going to Hialeah Park, man. That is somewhere. That is a destination of class and distinction. And you know what's great? It's a hell of a lot of fun. Hialeah Park. Now you have Saratoga opening up tomorrow, according to Mike Mayo, and I'm hoping he's right about that. I can't imagine Mayo's wrong about that.
Is it hard to look that
But
up?
Mayo's been a mental mess lately. I don't know what it is.
He's eating a lot.
Is it that he gets a little verklempt? I mean, look, everybody gets a little bit nervous when they do this for a living, okay? And Mayo is, coming from the writing side, which all of a sudden you have a microphone in front of you. Now, I found it immensely easier, because you didn't have to worry about grammar and you don't have to know how to spell.
Exactly.
Which was a lot easier. And sentence structure and all of that doesn't really have that much weight here in the broadcasting industry, although it is good. I think it's a solid background. It always helped me, at least in my opinion, that I was a writer before I was an announcer. Yeah. I always wanted to be an announcer, but I did have this writing background, and I think it helps you, even though it seems like my mind is pretty much scattered all over the place in the delivery of this show. But, you had some kind of fundamental foundation for building arguments and things like that, and having stories come to a conclusion. It was a good background, I think, for this. I really do.
So says that Saratoga opens tomorrow. From what I actually looked it up.
Oh, okay, yeah,
opens tomorrow.
I didn't think Mayo would be wrong about that. I was more likely to be wrong about that because I've seen this in New York where they change venues. They go from Aqueduct to Belmont, Belmont to Aqueduct, Belmont to Saratoga. And it seems like they start the week on a Friday, whenever they do this, the New York Racing Association. And I would imagine they'd want to get as many Saratoga dates in as quickly as possible because that the money that's bet worldwide on Saratoga is right up there with like the Royal Ascot. I mean, it is a giant event worldwide. Everybody loves it. You see all kinds of great horses. You've got established horses, and you get these 2-year-olds start campaigning there. It's pretty amazing. It really is. It's Keeneland, I think, with better racing. Saratoga, different kind of scene, but nonetheless cathedral-esque in terms of the ballpark, which is something that you don't have as much of anymore. I mean, these places, just like Hialeah Park, is a cathedral to thoroughbred racing. It really is. When you walk in there, you're like, just the sight of the citation statue. You start thinking about, I remember talking to the woodman on the backstretch there, Woody Stevens, and I was thinking, oh, look at me, a schmuck like me. I'm talking to Woody Stevens here, sitting there, and he's like whittling a knife as he's talking about, some of his great champions. You're thinking, wow, this is really old school, homespun Kentucky. I mean, glory here. And that's what's captured at Hialeah Park. And they've maintained that. Like, so you still have this sort of, historic place. And now they've infused this dynamic casino in there, which really has just a tremendous vibe. The Latin vibe really does add a lot, doesn't it, Lubie? You feel like dancing, right? Right, trumpets blaring, man. Tito Puente Jr. on the timbales there. Boom, boom, boom. It's just absolutely fantastic. So you're going to love the vibe there at Hialeah Park. You're going to love all the food and drink at Hialeah Park. They don't gouge you at the concession stands. I mean, just absolutely insane. People are paying like $16 for a beer, for God's sake. I mean, after a while, that's abusive, for the people in sports. They don't do that at Hialeah Park. They want you to have a good time. They really do. Great food and drink, and great opportunity to go ahead and partake in your favorite Vegas-style games in the casino. Steve Calabro, great job there. Poker room is fantastic, and they always have good stuff going on, including big jackpots for bad beats and things like that. And then the thoroughbred meet. I mean, what better way to tie things together than to be looking out on the grounds at Hialeah Park in between wagers while you're betting Saratoga? It's fantastic. So check it out for yourselves. Hialeah Park, just a beautiful place. Special events, if you want to host a party, a business function, anything like that. Just a wedding, Lubie?
Looked
A
into it.
wedding?
I almost got her.
Oh, man.
I almost had it. I was close.
I don't want to diminish, the natural and inherent romance of your wedding, but Homestead and Hialeah Park, I mean,
very different.
some farm in Homestead, mosquito hatchery, unbelievable. The mosquitoes were the size of clinchers at that wedding.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
They would land on you and just stare at you, like they were Hakeem the Rock Rockman Jr. looking at Jake Paul at the press conference yesterday saying, so you want to fight a real fighter? I'm not even sure what kind of real fighter Rockman Jr. is, huh? Did you see this thing? Where he's fighting Jake Paul? Hakeem Rockman Jr.
That's right. Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm like, Rockman. I'm like, I was super confused at. I'm like,
he's 12-1 as a pro. I don't know who he's fought yet, but I'm sure they were better than Jake Paul. So does Jake Paul get his block knocked off? Now think about this. I mean, this is a disgrace. Rocky Marciano's rolling over in his grave. Jake Paul is headlining a pay-per-view card at Madison Square Garden, the mecca of boxing and basketball. The world has changed, Lubie. The world has changed. That's but what is good about change is people at Hialeah Park saw the future. John Brunetti Sr. in a vision one day that everybody questioned. They were wondering if the old man was okay. He says, I'm going to open up a casino here. And I remember even Tony Segreto might have been shaking his head a little bit, as much confidence as he had, like I did, in John Brunetti Sr. and the way that he did business over the years. You were thinking, this is a long shot. But it worked out. Hialeah Park. So check it out. Special events. If Lubie's wedding had been there, I would remember it probably more distinctly.
I'm sure.
and the Duke wouldn't have needed a machete to get out of there. I mean, if you were making an early exit to the parking lot, you literally had to chop down trees to get out of this place. Could have had a nice time punching away on the ponies while you were tying the knot there with the lovely Shirley, which turned out to be beneficial to you, I would have to think.
So far, so good.
And it's always a benefit if you make your plans to socialize, do anything, gamble at beautiful Hialeah Park. And I'm Jeff DeForest. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz. We schlubbing our way right to the top of the hour here, which is becoming a pattern. And I don't know, is that good or bad, Lubie? What do you think? Probably should break this up
going on. There's nothing going on right now, so it's impressive that we're able to get through. You talked about.
I didn't get too much there. Yeah, I mean, I try to have you help me make my golf picks, but you see how impossible this is.
What do you mean? I reached out to Conjemi, see if he can come on tomorrow morning and give us one last second, tip.
What are you doing? Conjemi shine this on?
No, I'm trying to have him on tomorrow.
Oh, okay, good.
Late by then, but maybe he can come in and just let us know for good or bad.
He knows these guys pretty well. I mean, I'm a big golf fan. I really am. And I don't know everybody on this list. And I can't tell you how they're doing. I probably have watched a little less than I have in the past so far this year. But I definitely tune into all the majors. And if you're involved in any kind of wagering on golf, which it's a fascinating bet no matter what, whether you're just betting the winner, a guy to finish in the top 10, top 5, not make the cut, make the cut. I would think what? Now, that's a good one. Tiger Woods, does he miss the cut? Because he plays this course very well, and he doesn't have to hit the ball big, right? Because all he has to do is be somewhat accurate, I would think. And with his knowledge of the course, here at St. Andrews, he won there twice, by the way, Libby. Twice. He's had his 3 British Open titles, twice at St. Andrews, and loves the course, right? And Big Jack was talking to him the other day. Think about that.
There you go.
Big Jack himself was saying, you can do it, Tiger. You can do it. Right? Big Jack won the Masters at 46. Pretty incredible. One of the 18. 3 ahead of Tiger, which he will remain ahead of Tiger to his grave, Jack Nicklaus. No doubt about it. Never going to eclipse that, huh? Unbelievable. Maybe Tiger sells out after this speech yesterday and joins the Live Tour. Would that be a surprise?
That'd be great.
He realizes, you know what? It's over, man. Why don't I take the $1 billion? Hey, thank you, Prince El Schmank, or whatever the guy's name is. Am I going to get in trouble, man? I mean, am I going to become a target of the Saudis?
I don't know. You've been pretty hard on him.
You saw what they did to Khashoggi. I don't mean to make light of that.
Exactly.
They don't really favor people that have unflattering things to say about them. It's kind of like the mob in Brooklyn, where the guy says, hey, Defo, how you doing? He said, I'm doing fine. How are you, Joey? And he says, I hear you've been saying some bad things about us. No, that wasn't me. What me? No, that was Polyman. What are you talking about? Exactly. Polyman's the one that opened up a big mouth. No, you know how that goes. You immediately alibi out to somebody else. I mean, go ahead and blame it on the dead guy, as a Polyman would say. All right, we're coming back with Tony Segreto. He is very much alive, and we may have to. I didn't get a chance to share my thoughts with Tony about the late great Hank Goldberg, but thinking more about it, and it really is amazing that you could have that he had iconic status here. And whether people thought it was deserved or not for the way he conducted his business, and was very tight with Tony on TV. Tony, I didn't realize, like I said yesterday, how much TV work Hank was doing, even by comparison, because I always thought of him as a radio guy. I really did. And he certainly set the pace down here in South Florida for many, many years. And I know Tony and Hank were very close. And you must have had quite a touching conversation about it with Tony last week. When he was on the show. All right, coming back with more. Tony Segreto goes old school with us. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. That is straight ahead here on the Defo Show. I'm Jeff DeForest. He is Mike Lubie Lubitz. Thank you very much for tuning in. Julian, very active on the chat line here, which we always greatly appreciate. And he had a comment here earlier that I wanted to actually reference, Julian. He has several, but he's talking about Joey Gallo, man, being the biggest joke. Joey Gallo hitting like what, $160? He finally hit a home run. He was like 1 for 107, and he hit a home run. And the announcers, I mean, they were so jubilant about it. It was naturally some Yankee Shill announcers that I was watching, and they're oh my God, there it is. See, he's gonna snap out of it. I know it. And then he I think he struck out his next 10 times. It's crazy. All right, coming back with more in a moment. Now that
the time.
Tony's up next. It's 8:01.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going? All right, welcome back to the show. Going to be with you on this fine Wednesday. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, South Florida Live, and we welcome to the program as we do every Wednesday, pretty much throughout the whole year. And once in a while, a little juxtaposition in time here to accommodate his busy schedule, because he says he's not working anymore, but he's always working. Welcome to the show.
So
the great Tony Segreto, to go a little old school. Tony, how are you, my friend?
I am doing fantastic. Happy belated birthday. I hope you enjoyed. Shut your phone off. Silence.
You know who was calling me? Mike Westhoff.
Oh, really? Tell Mike hi.
I feel bad that I didn't answer it, because he's been asking me to read his book. And in all honesty, I don't have a copy of it yet, and I haven't read it. Yeah. I don't know. Have you seen Mike's book? It's about getting some very favorable press. Mike Westhoff's book.
I have
Figure
not.
It Out.
I'd love to read it. I have great respect for Mike. When you talk to him, have him send me a book.
Yeah, we'll have him send
Well, that's the issue. He that we've kind of implied that, like, hey, listen, we're freebie artists, and we never pay for anything like this. And it seems like he wants us to order the book.
Yeah. How was your
So
trip to,
where do you line up there? No, where do you line up there, Tony? Would you order the? Now the guy's done us a zillion favors
Yeah,
over the years.
I would
Segreto
order
would
a
buy a
book.
book.
Why not?
Segreto would buy a book. Yeah, Segreto's not us.
Can you order 3 of them for the show and
Order your own.
just
You can
bill it to
afford it.
Texas Roadhouse?
Especially the way I get checks from you, you have a lot of money because I know I don't have any of it.
Did you ever get that last one? I mean, you were complaining about?
Are you kidding me?
No, he's
Nothing's
still
Come on,
coming.
Tony. Come clean, man.
Nothing's
The money was
coming,
out of my
man.
account in
Nothing's
2
coming.
seconds.
Yeah,
Incredible.
Not from me. Not from me. Maybe the Stang got it before it left. Who knows?
There you go.
Could be. I'm
You
talking
can
about months
order.
ago.
You know what? I'm going to text Mike and tell him make sure you order your own book.
All right. I will say hello to him. But
Okay,
no,
please
feel
do.
free to. You would go ahead and order the book. I feel obligated to order the book. I really do.
Why obligated? It's the right thing to do.
Right. No, I don't have a problem with that. Guys come on the show like a million times,
Yeah,
broken down every detail of the NFL.
exactly.
Shared all of his stories with us before he even wrote the book, and we're too cheap to buy a book. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, how are you doing though? Other than that, Tony,
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Yeah?
You know,
I saw you on the Hank tribute, by the way, but I didn't get a chance to see the thing on
yeah, you know,
NBC.
I was talking to Kerry Ross yesterday. I said, you know, Kerry, we just keep losing friends. I mean, you know, think about the last couple of years.
Bernie Rosen and Hank, two of your favorites.
We
Yeah.
lost Hank. We've lost Larry Wall. You know, all three of these guys, Larry Wall and I shared a birthday together. Hank and I, we traveled the world together. Literally the world. But I'm not talking about, you know, San Francisco or, you know, Montana or whatever. I'm talking Tokyo, London. We were always together, out to dinner, doing live reports, doing live shows, not just for us, but for other networks. You know, and obviously Bernie Rosen. But I talked to Liz, and they're planning his memorial, and you know, God bless her. God bless his sister. His sister for the last 2.5 years. And again, I'm pulling the curtain back. His sister was his caregiver for the last 2.5 years, and they maintained a great attitude. We continued to laugh about the $9.95 bet. You know, you had to pay him to bet, and he was just a remarkable guy. You know, I'm going to just go back to you, Jeff, because I don't know if you know this or not. Like I told Defo, not many people realize he was in the advertising game, very successful, made a really great living. Bieber Silverstein. And you know, was the ghostwriter for Jimmy the Greek. Did all of his things before, you know, and actually made Jimmy the Greek what he was in terms of, you know, being able to handle TV and that kind of Jimmy the Greek style, which was Hank's style. Hank's style was exactly the same. I'm going to be who I am. I'm not going to be your typical TV guy. My hair's not going to be coiffed. I'm not going to be, you know, I'm going to be jolly. I'm going to be caustic. I'm going to be edgy, and I'm going to do my thing. But every single time, I'm going to be honest with a lot of integrity. And that's what he was. He was a treasure trove of information, and loved to have fun. Loved his family. I mean, there wasn't a time where he and I would talk, whatever we talked about, where he wouldn't ask about Anthony and Sam and Roseanne, and not just ask, but ask with intention, which I thought was pretty special.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, I was fortunate. I met him when I first moved to town, 1981. I had just gotten a job at 940 as the afternoon sports anchor, where we did 3-minute sports updates every half hour. Imagine that, 3 minutes.
Wow.
For a radio sports update.
Eternity.
Yeah. I mean, I remember one time I had connections in boxing, and naturally I was trying to, you know, get off to a good start here at this radio station. And the Holmes-Cooney fight was coming up, and I was able to get both of those guys to do an interview with me, and I was able to actually play a fairly significant portion of both of those before the fight during the afternoon sportscast, because you actually had time to play a couple of clips or cuts or sound, as they say, and give all the scores and all of that stuff. So it was great. And Hank liked my style, and he immediately reached out to me. And although that wasn't a term at the time, and I hate that term, by the way, but he gave me a call, and he tried to get me involved with CBS at the time there, I guess it was, that he was working with, or I guess it was Channel 4.
It was us. Yeah, it was us.
Yeah, and, you know, and he helped me immensely, you know, in getting the start that I got when I came on WIOD for the first time after I'd gone into some TV with Sunshine Network, and it was always like that with me. He was always trying to help me out.
He's just a great
yeah,
guy. You know,
yeah.
it's not what it used to be. It's not even close to what it used to be. But we started, Hank and I and Ned Smith actually launched Sunday Sports Final. And in its day, and Jeff, you can back me up on this, Lubie,
Yeah.
in its day, it was the signature Sunday night show. You watched that entire
Yes.
45-minute block between Sports Final and the Sports Machine. It was back to back. And it was an amazing show with amazing people who always wanted to be on. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you we had Jimmy Buffett, we had Gloria Estefan. I mean, we had on and on and on. They would make appearances in some form or fashion, sometimes just cameo announcing the show was starting. So he was a remarkable guy. And, regrettably, his last days were tough. I mean, he struggled. He really struggled. God took him back home and took him out of his misery. This is,
Yeah, no, I was, very unfortunate. I actually was in Vegas a year ago for my birthday, for my 70th birthday celebration, and I called Hank. I was trying to meet up with him. I had been out to Vegas just prior to that, and tried to connect with him. I wasn't able to. And he told me that he would have met me somewhere, but his sister was doing something, and he really didn't have any transportation. But he sounded good, He was so proud of the fact that he was still working.
Yeah,
even though he was like 81 years old then at the time.
We would joke with him. He was the biggest name dropper in the world. But the names he dropped, he knew. And all the people that those names dropped they loved him, and it was just it was a beautiful thing. And I take a lot of what he's done, and I think a lot about listen, everybody has had you don't realize how many people, Lubie, especially for you're young, how many people as you grow older will have influence on you that you're not even aware of. You're not even aware of that influence and how they form you. And there's no way where every day that I don't think of, either Bernie or Larry Wall or Hank, even Shula. Coach Shula made such an impact on me personally, that I think of him quite often, and things that I do. I see things that I do that remind me of him. So.
All right. Well, he'll be sorely missed. It was unfortunate. I was falling asleep, watching the 11 o'clock news, and they actually teased and promoted the Hank Goldberg tribute they were going to do on their sports final show. So I tried to tape it, and I popped on, it said it was going to be on 11:30. And for some reason, at 11:30, they announced that they were going to have another half hour of news.
Oh, God.
So I taped the wrong half hour, and I wasn't able to see the tribute.
Tell me, I am sorry. Unless you're a sports fan, will you stay up and watch a sports show at 11:30? If you are a news person, there is no damn way you're staying up at 11:30 watching the news, because you know what?
Well, they just had the same news at 11. I don't know why they went back to it.
It's insane.
I guess there was a dust storm off the Cape of Africa there, Cape Horn or something.
It's insane. It's stupid. It's just, I'm sorry.
It was nuts. So I didn't get a chance to see that. Stu Jacobs what was the producer's name?
Stu Jacobs and I,
Jacobs
and I, yeah.
And very
us,
good.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much Hank was on TV. He talked about that sports final thing. Because so he really did rule the roost here as a dominant force. As a broadcaster.
Did Dolphin
in
games
South
for
Florida.
many years. Yeah, did Dolphin.
I remember him doing the Dolphin games, and what I remember him saying is, and they had this clip. I think Neil Rogers used to bury him with this thing, and Hank would chime in. Rick was doing his thing and talking about he rappy-cacked him, and it popped out of there like a wet watermelon seed. And he had this clip of Hank going, "That was an O-cut, Rick," and some sort of just a real general term that Hank was throwing out there, and there was always that thing about, well, what does this guy know about football? Obviously, you wouldn't think Hank played a lot of football.
Yeah.
From his physical appearance, which was usually somewhat disheveled. He was like elegantly disheveled, I would say. He would come from the ad agency with a shirt and tie on and a sport coat to do radio, and yet his shirt on one side would be untucked when it wasn't a common thing. To have that be the case, and there would be like a mustard stain on it, very typically. That was it. But no, he was always great to me, and couldn't have been any more supportive of me and my efforts. I know even when I talked to him, he told me how much he loved listening to Lubie and me when we were on 940. So I always appreciated it, and it was sad to find out about his passing and that his final days were not comfortable. He was still hitting some pick sixes, even while undergoing all this dialysis and stuff. So
kept him going.
A real character, yeah. The stories are legendary also of his social life.
Oh, my.
I believe them to be true. I believe them to be true.
99.9% of them are true. Trust me,
Yeah.
I was part of it all. I was not all of it, but I was part of many, many of those crazy days and crazy nights with Hank. And, and fittingly, his it's not finalized yet because I know they're working on it, but his last wish was to be, to have his memorial done at Del Mar.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So
that's in line with my dying wish, Tony, which I've expressed many times. I want my ashes spread at the 16th pole. It won't be at Calder anymore, but at Gulfstream, I guess, because that's where all my horses died.
Why not Hialeah? Why not?
Could do it at Hialeah. I don't know. Do you want to, mess with the sacred grounds of Hialeah? There's something underneath the earth there that is different than any other place. Would you agree?
I remember Dennis texting me every year going, okay, we got the newborns. They're coming out of their shell. We just had eggs laid.
Oh, the flamingos, yeah.
Yeah. Just, it is hallowed ground. It is. And, I always ask people, Defo, I don't know if you were, I'm pretty sure you were with us in South Florida at the time. But, the commissioners' Super Bowl parties are legendary, or they used to be legendary. They're not anymore, but they really used to be absolutely. That was
Lubie crashed a couple of those, I believe, when we were at Super Bowls.
That was probably, and I think you'll agree with me, the most coveted ticket at a Super Bowl, because everybody had tickets to the game that were there, but to get into the commissioners' party was a big deal.
Yeah.
So one year they actually had the commissioners' party at Hialeah Racetrack.
Oh, yeah.
And
wow.
it
Perfect
was
place.
Spectacular. Incredibly. And the way they did it, the lighting all throughout if you could imagine Hialeah in its heyday, just close your eyes and think about it for a minute. And imagine this at night in the winter, this beautiful January night, all these, magnificent trees lit up, and all these different, areas to get food and drink, and it was spectacular, absolutely spectacular.
I love the scene there, and I can't help it. One of the things that always stands out to me is there was a horse owner, very prominent horse owner, and he had some of the most majestic horses that raced there, named Enrique de Fiatkowski. Okay, and Enrique de Fiatkowski was one of the richest guys in the world. He had a turf horse. A female turf horse called Sabine, who was one of the legendary turf horses that campaigned at Hialeah Park. And he also, I believe, was the owner of Devil's Bag, who was being so highly touted. I don't know if you remember that year when the Woodman was training Devil's Bag. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, shortly before the Flamingo, there seemed to be some issue. And they put a race on that featured Devil's Bag against a bunch of plow horses. And Devil's Bag was exasperated. Just exhausted, all out to beat these, what you would say were, I don't want to use the word pigs, but, they weren't exactly of the same caliber, about to go on to the Kentucky Derby. And then he bombed out in the Flamingo. And I remember Enrique de Fiatkowski in the walking ring. And I thought, wow, there's one of the richest men in the world. And he wore these sort of sailor outfits. And I thought he's dressed like Captain Crunch.
Did he have
all the money in the world can't help you, walk around.
Did he have Captain Crunch's eyebrows though?
Yeah,
did he have his?
He was a strange looking cat, kind of a short guy. But it was all part of the majesty and the charm of Hialeah Park to me, including many meetings just casually where you would run into Steinbrenner or something, and he's just walking around or having a drink at the bar, man, which was always great.
I would run into so it was either Hialeah, I would run into them, or Gulfstream, or Pompano, where I would run into Steinbrenner.
Oh, Steinbrenner was big there, yeah.
Or DiMaggio. One of the two. and wind up, having a lovely time with them. I mean, sitting with them, and I mean, just really cutting it up and having, and having a really good
Joe
time.
D's playing the
But-
Jugheads. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. But I know we have to take a break, right, Lubie?
Yeah.
We be coming up to a break soon.
Lubie is signaling frantically to me.
I want
Hey,
to
shut
talk
up already.
about. I want to talk about. I don't know if you all have seen this or even know it was.
Alan
it
Finkelson was the
no
guy
time.
that
Yes,
really
yes.
brought all that together. At
Do you,
Papa.
do you know you can does the Mustang ever get a chance to finish a statement when she talks to you? Does she ever get a complete sentence out?
It's got to be fun because she's similar. So the two of them together.
Oh yeah, no,
Can you
it's the
imagine-
other way
hey,
around there.
Let's just close our eyes and imagine for a minute that Jeff DeForest is not Jewish and that he's a Catholic priest in the confessional, and you're in there confessing your sins, and he's just going, "Yeah, but do you know what? Do you know? Have you heard this? Can you imagine? Can you imagine the person on the other side of the screen going, "What in the world is going on here?"
You'd never go to
Well, I mean, let's just get to the point. Is what it's all about. Yeah.
Anyway, are you aware of the fact? I watched it on Sunday night. So I want to talk about this when we get back, but I'm going to set this up.
All right.
So on Sunday morning at about, I hear every morning from him, but on Sunday morning at like 6 a.m., my phone goes nuts, buzzes off, and it's Bucky saying, I'm on my way. Actually, this was Saturday morning. I'm on my way to Boston for the Yankee series. This was last weekend. He goes, I'm going to be on ESPN. They're going to be interviewing me and Mike Torres together. I'll let you know when it is. And I texted it back. He said, great. So he, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he sends me his text. He says, I am going to be on at 8:15 with A-Rod and Kayla or something like that. I go, okay. I said, where are you going to be on? ESPN or ESPN2? He goes, I believe it's ESPN2. I said, all right. So I go to the TV guide and I'm looking up the game, and here on ESPN2, again, it says A-Rod and K something, K-A-Y, I believe it is.
All right.
So I tune in. It is their version of the Manning brothers.
Oh, yeah,
during
yeah.
Monday, Monday Night Football. Okay.
Right.
And they have all these celebrities on.
Yeah.
And for the first hour, including the interview with Bucky and Mike Torres, which was so much fun, they had Billy Crystal on. It was
wow.
Oh yeah,
fabulous.
wow.
That's pretty cool.
Thank God for
Ultimate
Billy
Yankee
Crystal.
fan.
Yeah, huge Yankee fan and very knowledgeable, very
awesome.
knowledgeable. And so I'm watching it and thinking, thank God, it's a great concept, but A-Rod,
Worst.
no, well, not just that. I mean, he's basically charting the game the whole time. So before the game starts, he's very engaged. But once the game starts, he's like, got his book out. And he's
texting Cameron Diaz. What are you talking about?
No, you don't text on paper, But anyway, I thought it was pretty interesting, the whole concept of it, and kind of taking the page out of the Manning brothers for this. But it was pretty curious.
It's going to be the new wave. I mean, who needs to hear this? I was saying this the other day, Tony. I come back, I'm watching a baseball game. And literally, it was on ESPN. It was a Sunday night baseball game. And from the beginning of when I tuned in, for the next half hour, Eduardo Perez and the crew there analyzed, how effective the four-seam fastball was versus the two-seamer, which you played a lot of baseball.
I love baseball, and I love that stuff.
And I don't give a flying one about the four-seamer or the two-seamer. I mean, grab the ball and throw it. I understand, you're trying to put certain spins on the ball and whatever, and it might break a certain way, but I don't know that it's all that fascinating that it should be a discussion during the course of almost every broadcast.
Yeah,
the merits of the two pitches.
I will tell you what ESPN2 did, or ESPN did. I think I was switching back and forth because after a while it was like, okay, let me watch the game. But they had the Red Sox left fielder mic'd, and they were talking to him during the game.
Yeah,
when they do
that's
that.
been happening.
And he would stop talking when the pitch was thrown, and you watch him doing his move. And the guy they chose, again, I forgot his name because I'm not a big as you well know, I'm not a big Red Sox fan, although I'm here in New York. I'm here in Vermont. he was very charming. And Mike, yeah, thank you, James Sarney. Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. Michael K is on with A-Rod, so it's K and A-Rod that's on.
Jesus.
Okay,
That's
Michael
what-
Caine does the Yankee games
Yeah.
on Yes also.
Yeah. So anyway, it
Even
was
to
fun.
ESPN
It was fun to watch that. It was kind of interesting. A big series this weekend again between Yankees and Red Sox in New York this weekend. So it's
Yeah, Yankees, have run away and hid from the pack here. They had 177 favorable run differential going
I
into
know,
That's
crazy.
crazy.
these last couple of ball games on their competition. They
What
just
a
pounded the
lineup.
living daylights out of people.
And I love Matt Carpenter, man. What a great story. If you're a Yankee fan, what a great
Yeah,
story.
no, that guy's
Matt
knocking the
Carpenter,
ball
yeah.
pretty hard out of the
Yeah.
park. Unbelievable.
He's got the what was Tom Selleck's character as a detective? What was his character?
Magnum PI.
Yeah,
Magnum
Magnum.
PI.
He's got the Magnum PI mustache going, and he's got a.
You're great, though, Tony. I mean, you found a reason to like A-Rod, which is not easy to do.
I was going to say A-Rod sucks.
Jeter hates him now. Jeter came out and said why he hated A-Rod and found
Jeter,
him a
I don't think
despicable
Jeter. I'm not
human
sure who
being.
Jeter likes. I'm not sure. who
Jeter's
likes.
lightened up a little bit in recent interviews. It's surprising. For the first time, we're seeing, as
Another
you say,
side of
the
him?
curtain pulled back a little bit
Yeah.
with Derek Jeter. I saw him on, I guess it's HBO, has, what are those two guys?
Jesus and Miro.
Yeah. And he was actually laughing and, seemed kind of jovial, was going
Really?
along with what was a good time that these guys were having.
There's
And
something
then,
different.
recently he made comments. I guess he was on a podcast and he was talking about why he hates A-Rod. And he talked about how A-Rod sold him out in this Esquire interview in 2000, saying that, well, Jeter doesn't really have to do anything to be a leader because he's on a great team and he's batting second and who cares, He gets up there, slaps a ball in the right field, and, he's not really doing that much. The other guys are doing the heavy lifting. And, A-Rod was implying that he was a better player because he has to do it all himself. Even though he played with Ken Griffey Jr. and any number of other greats during the course of his career when he was with Seattle. All right, speaking of greats, Texas Roadhouse. Okay, I had an incident, Tony. You can appreciate this.
All
right. So we get comped my birthday dinner at Gordon Ramsay Steak in the casino at Harrah's in Atlantic City. And, the place is buzzing. It's nice. I look on the menu there, and I end up ordering a steak that was $89. $89 for a bone-in ribeye. Okay, $89 comes with nothing, not even a piece of parsley. That's extra. All right. All right. So now it's free, so I don't care. I'm going to order up to the limit there of whatever the comp was, and it was
what was the comp limit?
250.
250. But you needed 250 to have dinner for two. You would have needed 250. And, he came close to spending that. But anyway, here's this beautiful steak. They overcook it the first time. All right. So I never do this. I sent it back. I mean, it really was not to my satisfaction at all. And I had asked for it like rare, so this wasn't even close. I mean,
this
obviously.
was a saddle. They sent you a saddle.
Yeah. You're looking for Gene Autry to sing in Cowboy to sit down in that thing and, maybe buy a baseball team. And, okay. So, and then. They don't take your word for it necessarily. The server says, well, just cut it in the middle. So let me see it in the middle.
Never
cut it in the middle, and it's brown, as the day is long. So they take it back, and then the chef actually very apologetically comes out with the next steak. And the truth was, he still didn't get it right. But I just said, hey, that's wonderful, because by then it came out like 45 minutes later.
Yeah,
I didn't even want it anymore. Yeah.
And 2 days later. Yeah.
Exactly.
It took him a long time. I mean, it was a hell of a good-looking steak, too, I have to say. It's unfortunate this has happened. But at Texas Roadhouse, you never see stuff like this. And then on top of that, I mean, you could have bought 4 steaks for $89. It's just incredible what they do there. And from a satisfaction standpoint, it would have been far more pleasing to get the thing done right the right way at Texas Roadhouse for $20 than had I been paying, to get absolutely hosed for $89 and then have to pay another $17 for half a baked potato.
And I'm sure you mentioned that to Mustang at the time. I'm sure that came up because I'm sure it crossed your mind. It's interesting you say that because we talk about the steaks, Texas Roadhouse steaks, and you get the peanuts at the table, the amazing bread, and all of these great things. I had a friend of mine called me last week and said, I was thinking about the Texas Roadhouse. I had never been there. He goes, and you guys, I watch you guys and listen to you guys all the time. He lives in Florida. He goes, but I wanted a burger. I go, well, I hope
nice.
you went and got a burger.
They make a great burger.
He goes, I went and I had a burger at the bar with a beer. He goes, it was remarkable.
Yeah, it's
He
great.
goes, the service, the beer, the burger, the fries, the entire thing, the entire experience. He goes, it was so good. He goes, I went there. It was after work. He goes, it was so good that the next weekend I took my wife and my family to Texas Roadhouse on a Saturday night, and we took your advice, and this is all true. We took your advice. We got the app. We made their reservation. We stayed home. We had our cocktails. They let us know when we were up. We drove there. We went and had an amazing dinner with everybody. Just had such a great time. And I said, I wish I could get this on tape so we could put it on the show, because this is the testimonials that we hear all the time at Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah, pretty routine.
It's anything you get. It could be the trout. It could be the salmon. It could be the chicken. Whatever it is, the salmon, the steaks, on and on and on and on and on. The different ways to get baked potatoes. I mean, they reinvent them. If you love sweet potatoes and you love dessert, just go there to get the sweet potato and the dessert and have a cocktail or a beverage of your choice, and you're good to go. Just incredible. So if you're looking to, I say this on the pre-recorded commercials that we have. If you always ask this question around the family, where are we going to eat tonight? I think you should think Texas Roadhouse and stop thinking and just go and give it a shot. If you haven't been there, just try it. And if you don't like it, you can call me and Defo and Lubie up on the show, or write to us and start bitching because you didn't like it.
No,
I don't think that, and we know that's not going to happen. Texas Roadhouse, your place to go when you're asking, where do we go to eat tonight?
I was surprised that chef didn't end up with grill marks on his face at Gordon Ramsay. I mean, if Gordon had been there. I asked before the dinner if Ramsay was on the site, and they said no. They did also say that it was very disappointing when they met Gordon Ramsay because he's not this irascible, just bombastic, insult-throwing Don Rickles type of chef. But he actually is like a really nice guy.
It's mostly
They said he was too nice. They couldn't believe it. He was like Segreto-esque, this guy. He was like too nice to be believed. And so, they were disappointed in that. But, I would recommend the restaurant, though. I really would, because, that steak would have been phenomenal had it been cooked right.
I will tell you this. I like you, never send anything back. We have a favorite restaurant here in Vermont that we love. Yeah. And we had taken a friend, and he basically sent a steak back 4 times. And
Jesus.
Really? Like, come on. Yeah. Like after a while, I mean, listen, I get it if you want it rare and it's well done.
This wasn't close. Yeah,
I got to stop. But if it's
if it's close, I'll take it.
If it's close, it's just remarkable. It's remarkable. So anyway,
it's amazing too how people this is. I waited in a lot of restaurants when I was younger, coming out of school, and just trying to make some money to get to whatever it was that was going to be my career, and even during it, in the early stages. You should know who's getting which steak at the table, too, because I can't tell you how many times that I've ordered a steak and I've looked over and the person next to me is eating what I know that I ordered. And I have theirs because they wanted it cooked more, which if I'm going to eat a steak, I kind of like it, sort of closer to rare than medium rare. But I don't want it raw because a lot of people, I don't know what it is about certain chefs. They don't know how to do rare. Yeah. Or there are different definitions of it. So, but shouldn't you have some knowledge? I mean, isn't that your job, Tony, to know? Okay, the guy in seat number 3 gets the medium rare.
Well, that's the other thing, and I know we're talking about it, but that's the other thing that Texas Roadhouse does so well. Yeah, the culture within the organization is so good, and they train their people so well that. If you go to a restaurant for the first time, how many times, I know I do, and it sort of embarrasses my wife, but I always go like, what do you suggest? What have you had here that you love? And when I get the answer, I'll tell you what, I tried this and this was amazing. But when I get the answer, well, I don't know, but I see this flying out of the kitchen this week. Yeah. I really haven't had that. I'm going, well, you've been, come on, help me out here a little bit. Yeah. I'm trying to. figure out what I want. And if I order, if you order a steak, when I order salmon, and they call me the salmon guy, because nine out of 10 restaurants I go to, I order salmon. And they go, well, how do you want to cook that?
You're turning a little pink, by the way, on
I
the
know.
show.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a lighting.
I want to leave that up to the chef when it comes to fish. You know what? They know it better than I do. And I don't want it overcooked, but I don't want it, unless it's sushi grade, I don't want it raw either.
All right, Tony.
How are the cocktails at Ramsey's restaurant? Were they good?
It's a class joint. I mean, it really is. They have them in various casinos. I ate at the one in Las Vegas, and this is the second time I've been in this one. I was trying to go to Monterano, but they were closed the night that we were there. They have a Monterano at Harris. Not quite the same as the one that you get here, Oakland Park Boulevard, but yeah, I mean, no, it's a fine restaurant. I would say, especially on a casino comp. I mean, how are you going to complain, right? The food's free.
Did they know it was your birthday, or was it just because they liked you?
No, there was no great special consideration there. It was they knew that I brought the Mustang and that she was going to be playing slots for hours on end, and that's all they care about.
They were happy about that.
That this meal was going to be the only time
we'll
that money wasn't being circulated in their slot machines, where they were raking off about 6% right off the top.
Exactly.
So what do they care, right? It's only money. All right, we're coming back with more with Tony. More old school with Tony Segreto. Many things happened, man. A lot of changes. This whole, I know you love the conference conversation in college football. Now, we talked about that a little bit, what's going on with the Big Ten. And right around the corner, of course, professional football is on tap. We talked about you yesterday at great length, where I still can't believe the Dolphins are getting so little consideration from the bookmakers. Yeah, and they think that they're going to win less games than they won last year.
I know.
When they won 9 somehow after getting off to a 1-7 start. Unbelievable.
I'm well aware. Yeah, it's
wow.
Kind of
it's an interesting thing. So we'll get into a lot of stuff here with Tony. Just a moment. Old school Tony Segreto. That is Mike Lubie Lubitz. If you're watching on the video stream here on South Florida Live, glad you guys have joined us, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that Texas Roadhouse, though, Tony, a much better bargain. My God, I mean, you don't have to go Michigan looking at the check. It's 8:36. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
A young person at a crossroads in life has an opportunity that otherwise would not be there. A Tony Segreto charity event, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars to help young people to find themselves in today's chaotic universe. A noble endeavor through college athletics, hardworking coaches, many hours of practice, many hours cracking the books. There is an answer out there for NCAA athletics. Yes, it does involve the pursuit of virtue, and nobody better to expose that and generate that thought than the great Tony Segreto.
The morning just isn't right without Defo. It's now time for the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. There we are. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, and the great Tony Segreto.
We need some upbeat music coming into the second segment. That's a little
bluesy there, yeah, for you, Tony.
Yeah, but yeah, we can.
A lot of people have the midweek blues. No,
we can do some upbeat bluesy.
Good. Give them something else.
This is something else. A whole different song.
Okay, very good. All right.
It's very different.
Hey, you ready to fire here, Tony?
Oh yeah, I'm ready to fire. Let's go.
Critical of Lubie's production here. He doesn't
like
that.
Lubie, Hurricanes moved up to number 7 now in recruiting. With the,
I thought they were higher than that. The last 3.
Who are all these kids?
2 5-stars and 5.
So they got the 4-star linebacker. 4-star linebacker.
They're the hottest team in the country in recruiting. I mean, I thought they'd be 5.
The hottest team by far. Yep.
Well, I mean, there's probably a lot behind it. I did want to mention this. You mentioned Jim Sarney, and he was asking if we were going to discuss NHL free agency today, and I thought no better time to bring it up. No, and we said, we don't really know anything about it, but he pointed out some names here. Johnny Gaudreau, 40 goals, 75 assists, 115 points. He's a free agent. Nassam Hadri, very good player. Claude Giroux, what do you think? Played with the Panthers last year, former Flyer. Andrzej Palat, very prominent in the postseason, and Andrei Burakovsky. Any thoughts on any of those guys? I don't know what to tell you about. NHL free agency would be...
I love Jimmy.
I love his interests. They're great. But he's
might be among my weakest subjects. Yeah.
I'm like, because I don't know cricket, Jim. Like, why would I talk about cricket when I can't even name you a player, let alone the sport? And I appreciate it. Well, women's high school volleyball is really hot in Pompano right now. I'm like, Jim, again, we love you. What the hell do you want me to say about women's high school volleyball? I have nothing to say about it.
That's a real well-rounded sports fan, though. But I'm not equipped to answer these questions about NHL free agency. I'm just not. What do I look like, Don Cherry over here? I don't think so. We barely faked our way through the playoffs when the Panthers were involved, acting like we were experts.
Exactly.
You would have thought I was Win Elliott when I was talking about the NHL. It was unbelievable. All right, Tony Segreto's with us. British Open. I would imagine in your broadcasting career, you probably had the occasion or put it on the expense account. Said, "Hey, I got to go follow this local guy into the British Open."
Yeah.
A very interesting tournament. My favorite aspect of it is, among many, there are no trees. Okay, you don't see any trees on the course, so there's nothing to block like a guy like DeChambeau from going ahead and trying to drive every green.
Nope.
But there is a waiting, as Peter Ellis would say, there is treachery around every corner.
There is.
Yeah.
There is.
What do you think? You like it?
Yeah. I that's the way golf was supposed to be played. That's how golf started. And it's just
before course design, obviously.
Yeah, the thing is that it's to the
carved
eye,
out a field.
We are so used to seeing, especially all of us here in the United States, we're so used to seeing, the groomed, the perfect Augusta National, right, okay, or Pebble Beach, where it's just pristine. Here it's just down and dirty, man. This is golf. You're gonna, if you spray it this much, you're gonna be in weeds, but not just weeds up to your ankle, weeds up to like here, you're jumping over the top of them, hoping you can get out. You talk about
you don't even see the player, right?
You talk about a machete getting out of Lubie's wedding. Well, you better pack a machete when you play over there, And
I wish you had gone to Lubie's wedding.
I remember. I was on a golf trip and I was playing with Damon Heward, and
He looked like he could golf. Yeah.
Damon was a good golfer, and we had such a great time. And we were playing with a group of people, and it was probably 50 degrees, 55 degrees, windy, and the rain was horizontal. And it was almost like that scene out of Caddyshack, where I don't think the heavy stuff's going to come for quite some time, one of those deals. So Damon goes, we should really be in the pub having a Guinness.
Yes.
I said, yeah, we should be. I said, but I will tell you this: if I were home in Florida, I said I'd be on the air 24 hours a day covering this storm, because no one would be out playing golf. It's crazy. It's crazy.
They'll play in that's nice conditions for people, especially Ireland. I mean, usually horrendous with the wind and the rain.
It is.
And everything.
I love the challenge. I love I think St. Andrews is storied. It's just got so much history.
Have you been there?
Yeah, it's been.
You have? Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
It's remarkable. But the thing is that I love. To me, I love watching the treachery. You talk about sand traps there. Holy Lord.
The bunkers. They're not even sand traps. There's no sand. It's just like.
I mean, it is a bunker. It's truly
a bunker.
What bunkers were meant to be. I mean, you're looking up, like you feel like your neck is going to break. You're looking up at the green, going,
you're waiting for like Bruce Morrow to come running out of there in an episode of Combat. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, no, it's funny to see. I don't know how they hit out of some of these greenside bunkers. They drop like a rope ladder down to get the guy out of there. It's so impossible to even conceive of hitting the ball straight up in the air like that and having it go forward after that. I don't know. I mean, I'm struggling with this team I'm trying to put together here for the golf pool.
I will tell you this:
I'm really struggling.
I know I didn't have the chance last time to bet, but I love the concept of this. In fact,
it's a great concept. It is.
Michael Kay was actually when he was Billy Crystal sort of referenced that that golf betting, how big it's become now, because they've made it much more. They've made it easier to figure out. And the way that's laid out for you, that you sent me, Defo, the way it's laid out, if you know nothing about the game or like nothing about horse racing, you pick up, I like that name, or I like that color of what the saddle is, or whatever, what the colors of the blinkers, whatever you want to call them. I mean, I know what they are, but I'm just sort of referencing it. But the golf thing's the same way. The way they've got it set it up, if you don't know the players, but you like a name or whatever, you can at least get your feet wet and then see what it's like, and then go on from there. But I love it. But I want to get back.
It's a great poll. I'm halfway through the first three columns. I already have very suspect choices, and it wouldn't hurt to do a little research. I mean, there are definitely in golf horses for courses, as they say in the thoroughbred game, and that is guys that play well in certain situations and over these courses. But it's hard to know all of that while being still. I mean, even though I really follow it fairly closely, but not close enough to know every detail of every guy's game. And then any of these guys could pop up. It's like men's tennis. I mean, look, Kyrgios was like probably, I don't know, I think he was over 100-1, maybe 50-1 to win Wimbledon, which would have been not even very generous odds. And then you just don't know when a guy's going to get hot. And,
exactly.
And he did. Exactly. He played as well as anybody, except for, in his case, the Joker. So, all right. So what do you make? I mean, of Tiger Woods, he came out, slammed your man. I don't know. Were you friendly with Greg Norman? Because, he obviously was a prominent figure here and designed some South Florida golf courses.
Yeah, I mean, friendly enough. I mean, I'm struggling with this. I just don't see.
What do you think, Tony? You're a red-blooded American. I would imagine.
I just cannot. I can't. Yeah, I love the guys who are standing up and going, "We're staying with the PGA." Listen, does it have blemishes? Yeah, it does. But you know what? They've treated us well. We're making a good living. This is who we are. We're Americans. We're not going to do this. And I don't care who you are. You don't have to know a whole lot of the political issues with what's going on between us and the Saudis, but you know enough. You know enough to what's right and wrong, and to hook your wagon to that makes no sense to me, and I think is just it makes me shake my head, and it gives me agita, it gives me agita to think about that. It really does. Absolutely does.
I mean, it's kind of like, it's one thing in boxing. They'll grab like a guy like Ricardo Mayorga, who had lost his last 6 fights, and they'll throw him in there against Mayweather, and the guy gets one more payday. And it seems like some of these guys were in that kind of position there where their career was essentially over. They were going to have to consider whether to wait a few years and play the Champions Tour. Do they want to go out there and battle
again? I'm going. That's fine and dandy, but that's BS.
But you don't need the money. I mean, that was the unfortunate thing. When you don't need the money.
It has all. I said to Lubie last week, how much money do you need? How much money do you need to be happy? And do you really need the money to be happy? I mean, I know people who, are living check to check who are happier than anybody I know. And I know people who are worth a lot of money.
Guy making 32 dimes. He's got a bass boat. He's trailering, behind a Winnebago.
Exactly.
He's living a dream.
Exactly.
Owns a house.
By the way, before I forget, because I knew I was going to do this.
Yeah.
I talked to Ed Garcia last week.
Very good.
And I told him that we really would like to do a contest. To whoever wins the contest, we all meet them for dinner. The 4 of us.
I love it.
The 3 of us and Ed, and if you want to bring, so we've just got to figure out what that contest is. Okay. So if we have any suggestions from
winners,
I get that, but how long do we do it for? And when do we
run a 4-week mini contest at the beginning of the football season? How about that?
So, 4 weeks, when no one knows.
First 4 weeks. Whoever has the most winners.
Yeah, so we pick out a contest of some sort. Maybe you guys the 3 of us can meet off camera and come up with something, and then we approach Ed with it, and then we do that, and we have people give us their picks, and the winner we go out to dinner. We pick a date that's good for all of us, and we'll go to dinner, the 4 of us plus the winner, and we'll move forward. I think that's a great. He loved the idea.
Oh, great! No, it's a good promotion.
So let's try.
We'll do the Westgate contest concept. How about this? People pick 5 games against the spread each of the first 4 weeks of the football season. Whoever has the most winners and the best record wins the contest.
Do we pick the games?
We'll select 5 games for the people to. They can pick any. They pick any games they want. Whatever their record is against the spread, that's what it is. In other words, we give them the freedom of choice there. Maybe we have a couple of mandatory games. They get one wild card pick or something.
Well, I'll let you guys figure that part out, and then
believe me, we'll consult with the attorneys here. Because contests get very tricky, Tony. You know that from your days on TV. Man. The number of disclaimers that you had to read when you were trying to give away a squirt gun. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Right, and they always feared it. Like, did you get? We had the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge on the radio. Nobody really knew what we were doing, right? Yeah. And then, so they wanted to give the prizes away through the promotional department, but the promotional department didn't exist anymore, so the prizes were never being distributed. And fortunately, we had a lot of people that didn't care, whether they won the prize or not, because they just like to play the game. But it becomes a big problem. It really does. So
absolutely,
we'll have to make some rules up here.
Yeah, we really do. We really do, and we got, and we're getting close. Listen, I'm excited. Camps are going to open both collegiately and professionally, and then let's see what happens. I know we got to do Catholic Health Services.
Yeah, we don't want any litigation.
I've gotten 12 notes already from Catholic Health Services.
Yes,
from them, from Lubie, and we're going to do. Here we are.
Go ahead, fire away, because I mean, look.
Listen,
this is a classy organization, and we couldn't speak any more highly of it.
Yeah, this is the first time my wife is back in Michigan because a family member continues to be seriously ill. But this is the first time where they actually moved that family member to a facility that my wife is actually breathing and going.
Oh, thank goodness!
Yeah, exactly.
It's been a long time.
It took 4 years.
Oh, wow.
4 years of in and out of hospitals, not getting doctors to return phone calls, not getting therapists to get back to you, having therapists not show up the way at the time they're supposed to show up or show up at all, or show up and do this. Go ahead, do 5 more. I got to text this person. Did you 5? Are you sure you counted 5? Do 2 more. You know,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. Catholic Health Services, none of that happens. When you walk into Catholic Health Services and you have that anxiety because you're bringing a loved one because they're going to rehab from a stroke or from a hip, from surgery, or they're just really having a tough time. And you're going in there and your heart's beating and you got that anxiety. When you walk into that building and they greet you, it's like the air is let out of the balloon. You go, oh, thank you, God. Thank goodness. Because Catholic Health Services, once you step through that door, you feel it right away. From the people who admit you, to the therapist, to the doctors, to the nurses, to those who give you your first tests when you get in. You can feel not just love and concern, but expertise and compassion. And that's what Catholic Health Services does each and every day. Every single day with every patient, they make you feel like you're the one and you're the only one. And they make the family feel like you're the one and you're the only one. They're communicative. They stay in touch with everybody. And in most cases, the loved one, the person in the rehab center, gets out and gets up and around better and earlier than they could have ever imagined. If you're looking for a place, if you need just to find out about things that bother you in terms of, do I get a shot? Do I not get a shot with the new COVID variant? With the, what do I do? Where do I go? Catholic Health Services is there. They're part of the community. They're the fabric of this community. And what they did, we go back to it every single time, but you can't say it enough. What they did for Defo and his mother and his family,
it's everything.
Is testimony alone.
No, it was the greatest thing that ever happened. And in regard to that, what really impressed me, I still remember this because every time I opened up an email from Catholic Health Services that had anything to do with my mother's health situation, I was always overwhelmingly impressed with how expert each individual was in their various categories at Catholic Health Services. And you felt like these people were, very intelligent, well-informed, authoritative, and able to make the right call or guide you to the right call. Whereas, you call the average hospital, check in on a patient, and they're like, I don't know, is she even here? Hey, is anyone in room 132?
Exactly. They didn't even know.
Like,
they did not know where our family member was.
Right.
They didn't know what room they were in.
We can't locate the body. We don't know if it's alive or dead. Yeah, no, it's crazy. All right, we're going to come back and wrap things up. Tony, flying by another hour of Old School with Tony Segreto.
How'd this happen?
That's great. And, I'll send you this sheet if you want to get involved here, Tony.
Yeah, you know what? Send
But you would have to
look at it again. No. I just am running
This
around.
one's going to be tough because I believe the British Open is even as poorly as I've been doing of late in these pools. I mean, and I've been annihilated like the U.S. Open pool. I had 5 guys miss the cut. I mean, it was just disgusting. But as far off as I've been, this one's really tricky because those courses are so different there, the links courses. So who knows, man? I mean, it could be anything.
I will tell you this: the step meters there are insane. We play here, and if it's rolling at 7, you're going, wow, this is so fast, fast. You get to the links courses, sometimes they're running 12 and 13.
I like the double green too, where like you don't know if you're hitting the 7 or 15. They're both on the same green.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what?
Exactly.
That was a good shot if I was playing the back 9.
Hey, did you hear this contest suggestion from Sarni?
Yeah, I like it.
How many rolls will Segreto consume in September?
Segreto's not a big eater. It wouldn't be though, even though Mayo is actually supported.
Oh no, Mayo would be the challenge.
Mayo more than Segreto. Segreto's not.
We've lost faith in Mayo. Yeah. Mayo could only eat 5 hot dogs. This guy.
He
opened up a big mouth about Joey Chestnut being a lightweight and all of this stuff. No, he had a good one. I wanted to do maybe a variation on a theme. We'll do a Tua tracker.
Yeah.
Jim suggested that we do a contest. How many passing yards will Tua have in game 1?
I like that.
And maybe we narrow the field after game 1 to the top half, and then we move those guys on to game 2 to track his passing yardage. So it would be a Tua tracker. What do you think? And you track your way right to Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That may not be a bad idea.
Not bad.
No,
We might be able to work with that.
Not bad. And speaking of hot dogs, do you have a favorite hot dog?
Yeah. I mean, you would have to say that Nathan's would be my all-time favorite, I think. Nathan's hot dogs.
Stadium hot dogs?
Stadium
Yankee
dog,
Stadium. I
the
love it.
Dodger dog, I think was the classic Farmer John special there. Vince Scully, I can still hear him saying, "And it's time for baseball and Farmer John."
Yeah,
and
yeah.
No, but the Dodger dog was great, and I covered a lot of games at the LA Coliseum, USC and UCLA, playing and whatever. UCLA was in Pasadena, but the game often was every other year was at the Coliseum. There was nothing like the hot dogs they had in the press box there, and those were I presume they were also Dodger dogs. So
Yeah,
it was great.
yeah.
What about you?
Yeah,
Cleveland
I like
is your
that. Yeah,
favorite.
yeah. Well, Cleveland and the Yankees. Cleveland, you know why? Because it's all about the mustard in Cleveland.
Yeah.
It's the stadium dog. The stadium mustard, man.
Right,
It's all
right.
about. It's all
Yeah,
about
Doc
that.
gave us that mustard. The mustard's great. Or gave me.
My God, it's the only as I was told in Cleveland, it's the only mustard to ever go into space. So,
Wow.
yeah, it was taken by the astronauts into one of the shuttles. Yeah, yeah. So, and I love Yankee Stadium dogs too. But I haven't had a dog in so long that when I hear about them, I go, I'm dying for a dog. I don't know if I want to cue it or if I want to boil it. Just got to figure it out.
Yeah, no, grilled
Steam
hot
'em.
dogs, I think, is the way to go, man. Grilled, unless they're immersed in, very dirty Hudson River water, like they were at Shea when a guy used to come around and stick a fork in a thing.
No.
And then,
no.
and then
Not
you got
as
the guys
Jay.
on the street corner with the red onions. Anyway, we have to, get a couple of words in for our fine sponsors. Don't come back, say goodbye. A quick goodbye to Tony Segreto and Old School. Back in a moment. Now that.
Okay.
The time.
Yeah, we're on overtime here, Tony. It's 9:00.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Just kind of early research and had this whole thing about, hey, check out what Hammer and Hank has to say. So I clicked the link and you got to pay $9.95 to see what Hank
To
wants
get
to
his
say.
pick? Are you kidding me?
Defo's
Holy
favorite.
Hank
So,
Goldberg.
so
Oh,
it's
he's
7
accomplishing the
it's-
dream.
Hold on a second now. So it's 7 a.m. I'm looking yesterday morning.
my
It's 7
God.
a.m., right? At 7 a.m. here.
You're down to 10?
No.
So no. So it's 7 a.m. here. It's what, 4 a.m. in Vegas. I call him up and I go, hey, you better call me up because I'm not paying $9.95 to get your pick. About 2 hours later, I call his sister Liz, who lives in Vegas too, and I said, hey, make sure Hank calls me back. And she's laughing. I can't even stop her from laughing and go, what's so funny? She goes, I just heard from the guy who's directing the race. And he called and he said, you tell Hank I'm not paying $9.95 for his picks. So I'm going to watch him deliver the picks.
Who is he, the masked jockey all of a sudden?
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
All right, we're thinking about going with that Tua tracker concept there.
That's a
and
great
make it like
idea.
How do
an
we do
elimination deal where we eliminate half the field each week until we get down to one person. How
this?
about that, Tony?
Not
I
over.
actually-
People give an
I
actual
actually-
yard, maybe whoever's closest.
Yep. I think
Moves
it makes
on,
it local. It makes it, yeah. I love the idea. I love the idea. Maybe we can do it this way too. We can do one for the first half of the season and one for the second half of the season.
There you go. We eat there twice.
know?
Makes
We'll
it
do
better,
that
Tony.
twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it keeps the promotion going for the entire season. So I think that's a great idea. Jim Sarney, you should for the first
Oh,
dinner,
he's
you should
producing.
come.
Yeah.
You should come with us, man, because you're definitely on the docket to come with us, because you're suggesting that we could have Jimmy help us with this, you know.
I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe he can keep track of everything, because
Yeah, I
we
was gonna
certainly aren't
say.
capable of
Yeah,
doing
exactly.
it.
Certainly,
all right, Tony, where are you
your
off to,
track
man?
record, your track record, no pun intended, is
Yeah.
Where am I going? I'm going to be going to New York soon to move
Very
our
nice.
daughter. Our daughter is moving to a different apartment. She's
Nice.
she's actually moving to an apartment above a pizzeria.
That
Nice.
sounds
Which
very
is-
dangerous.
which
Yeah,
is
for your waistline. Yeah.
which is exactly.
How about a
But-
slice?
but
Yeah.
and then going to Michigan for a wedding, and then back to South Florida for a couple of business meetings, and back here and all around. So it's
What are you buying? A marina? What are you doing, Tony? You're unbelievable with all of your assets. It's incredible. No, I mean business. You have your hands is in everything. It's incredible. I love that about you. I really do.
I'm trying to figure out. I know we're late, but I will leave you with this.
Yeah.
I'm not a Prime Day guy. I usually, I listen to what's, Amazon Prime Day, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But yesterday I saw at a Bed Bath & Beyond that you could get a $250 air fryer, convection oven, toaster oven, all in one for like $90.
That's a good deal.
I go, this is pretty hard to pass up.
Yeah.
So I get it. Now, mind you, Roseanne's not here, so I'm going to have time to like position it and get it set, because she's the queen she's in charge of the kitchen.
Yeah, sure.
So
That was a dumb move.
I talked to my son. I go, how in the heck am I going to sell this to mom?
Yeah, that was a dumb move.
Yeah.
And he goes, Dad, once she sees what this oven can do,
Oh, good.
he goes, she's going to be in love with it.
Absolutely.
You need to have a damn master's degree or a PhD to
work
figure
it.
these darn things out. Do you have one?
Forget it,
Defo?
yeah.
Do you have one?
I do, and I use it, and I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. Everything
Air
comes out
fryers are
great.
great.
Yeah, it's really good, and cooks things very thoroughly and quickly, and it can't go wrong. I use it as a
So
toaster
this
oven.
is all in one. This is
Yeah.
this
Yep,
will do my laundry.
Is
and
it some
put in.
assembly required? Is that why it was only
No,
$90?
it's assembled. No, it's assembled.
Really? Oh,
Now
okay.
I just gotta like figure out how to like
Just do air
Yeah,
fryer.
you'll figure it out, Tony. You're a sharp guy.
I took
think
everything
you're
on air
gonna be able
fryer.
to do it. Yeah. Well, you are older, than
Oh,
dirt like I am,
stop.
so that makes it a little bit
Hey,
more
I
difficult.
got carded the other day, so that was a good
Good for
thing.
you.
For what?
Yeah.
For the senior discount? I mean, they didn't believe you were 70.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's lying, man. He's only 58. This guy. All right, we'll see you next week, Tony.
Have a
Thanks.
great day.
Always
Thanks.
a pleasure,
All
my
right.
friend. Always a
Bye-bye.
pleasure. Tony Segreto, All School with Tony Segreto. That was fun today. All right, Lubie, that was a quick one, man. Once again, thanks people for tuning in. All your
Don't
participation
forget,
on the
12 o'clock,
chat
the
line.
Lunchbox right here. The Lunchbox
Lunchbox
today,
with Mike Mayo.
live from Even Keel Fish Shop.
Oh, that's right. We're at the Keel. I almost forgot.
Yes, I
Wow,
did forget.
that's gonna be
I
great.
said out loud to remind everybody, including myself.
I'm glad you reminded me, because I was going to fall asleep and just wake up at like 2 minutes to 12 like I usually do. All right, that'll be great. Even Keel, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. Always fun when we're on the road. Even Keel right there. Come on out and join us, please. It's a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
we'll be there. It's a good time.
And really good. I mean, prices are right there. I mean, you don't have to worry about getting dinged up too bad with the check. Right there on the corner of Commercial Boulevard and A1A. Beautiful. Right there, the entrance to the beach, the street that leads to the beach, Lauderdale by the Sea. Fantastic area. We'll be there at 12 till a little after 1 o'clock today with Mike Mayo and Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. And we'll be streaming live. And then, of course, you can catch the show later on a variety of radio stations at 8 o'clock in the evening.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, there's not enough time to go ahead and, explore the various platforms that we have for Mike Mayo's Lunchbox here. But I assure you, it's everywhere. And join us out there at the Even Keel Fish Shack in Fort Lauderdale, A1A and Commercial Boulevard. If you're coming in from out of town, just go straight from the airport and meet us there at 12 o'clock. All right, we'll see you then. And thanks so much for being with us. Until we catch up with you later on with Mike Mayo, we're saying have a great day, everybody. And we will leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:08.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.